Have you ever felt like you're just stuck, on that financial hamster wheel?
Oh, yeah.
Bills piling up, dreams feeling miles away, and the whole idea of wealth just seems, well, for other people.
It's a really common feeling, that sense of just being overwhelmed. Or maybe just wanting something more than just scraping by.
Right, or even just being curious, like how do people build something substantial, sometimes from basically nothing?
Exactly. And most people get intuitively that it's not just about pulling in a bigger paycheck. It's often about a fundamental shift.
A shift in how you approach money, maybe even life itself.
Precisely. How you think, how you act.
That's such a relatable starting point. And that's exactly why we're doing this deep dive today. We're calling it Decoding the Path from Broke to Wealthy. We're looking at what seems to be a clear, actionable roadmap, from financial hardship to hopefully lasting prosperity. It's framed as a real journey of transformation.
And our main guide for this, our core source, is Asim Gupta's work on the 10 stages of going from broke to wealthy.
Gupta, right.
Yeah, he lays out this fascinating sort of step-by-step framework. And it goes way beyond just, simple tips and tricks.
Okay, so our mission today for you listening is to really pull out the most important bits from Gupta's framework. We want to help you understand not just what these stages are,
But the why behind them.
exactly why they matter so much. We'll dig into some maybe surprising facts and definitely some powerful real-world examples for each step. The goal is really to give you a clear, actionable sense of this path. It's challenging, no doubt, but it seems achievable.
And what's interesting is how Gupta frames it. He's very clear. This isn't some quick fix.
Right. No magic wand.
No. He calls it a series of intentional steps, each building upon the last. And it requires a shift in mindset, dedication to personal growth, and the mastery of key skills. It's really a whole person transformation.
A holistic thing. Okay, so where does it all begin? Stage 1, Gupta calls it. Escape survival mode. That sounds fundamental.
It absolutely is. It's the foundation.
Well, what's Gupta getting at here with this idea of being trapped in survival mode?
Well, think about it. When you're truly in survival mode, your brain, your energy, it's all consumed by immediate worries.
Like the next bill.
Exactly.
Huh.
Paying the next bill, putting food on the table, just getting through the day. It forces you into this constant reactive state, always putting out fires.
So there's no room left, mentally or emotionally, for thinking ahead, for growth or planning.
Pretty much none. It's this low-level, constant stress that just keeps you spinning your wheels.
Yeah.
You can't be proactive when you're just trying to survive.
That whole fight or flight thing just applied to finances, it sounds exhausting.
It is.
And breaking free from that, it seems absolutely crucial if you want to make any kind of future-focused decision. Does Gupta give examples, like real people who made that leap?
Oh, absolutely. David Goggins is a really powerful case study he brings up.
Goggins, yeah, intense story.
Incredibly intense. Born into, severe poverty, physical abuse, racism, even struggled with a learning disability. His childhood was just a daily battle for survival.
So how did he shift?
Well, Gupta points out that Goggins made a conscious decision. He decided not just to endure it, but to actively seek out challenges, to see them as fuel for growth, not just waiting for things to get better, but changing his internal stance.
Wow. From that background to becoming a Navy SEAL, an ultra-marathon runner, it's extraordinary.
It really is. And the key insight Gupta highlights is how Goggins reframed his suffering, even while he was deep in it. It wasn't about external circumstances changing first.
It was internal.
Yes, an internal reorientation,
Right.
finding strength within the hardship. That mental shift, before anything else changes, that's the critical first step, often overlooked.
Which flows perfectly into stage 2 then. Take responsibility for everything. Gupta mentions this trap of victimhood that can happen after escaping survival mode. How does that work?
Well, it's easy, once the immediate pressure's off, to sort of look back and blame circumstances.
Sure. Blame the past, the system, whatever.
Exactly. But if you see yourself purely as a victim, you basically hand over your power. Gupta says, to really change your path, you have to take full ownership. Not blame, but ownership of your current situation. And crucially, ownership of the actions needed to change it.
So it's moving from being passive, just reacting,
to being active, creation-based, as Gupta puts it, recognizing you're the main character, the driver, in your own story.
That's a huge mental shift. You mentioned J.K. Rowling earlier. Living on welfare, depression, single mom, writing Harry Potter in cafes. How did she embody this shift from victimhood to that active creation mindset, according to Gupta?
Her story is just phenomenal for illustrating this stage. Gupta emphasizes she didn't wait. She didn't wait for the perfect setup or for someone to rescue her.
No office, no money, no connections.
Right, but she didn't let those limitations stop her. She took charge. She wrote. She sent the manuscript out. She created her own opportunity. That's taking responsibility in action. Not waiting, creating.
Okay, so you've escaped survival mode, you've taken responsibility. Gupta's stage 3 is define exactly what you want. This sounds like getting specific. No more vague goals.
Not at all. Gupta really hammers this point. Vague goals like, I want to be successful or I want to be rich, they just don't cut it.
Why not? They sound nice.
They sound nice, but they're not actionable. Wealthy individuals, he argues, define success with real precision. It lets you focus, measure your progress, adapt if needed. You need a clear, detailed vision, almost like a blueprint for your future.
So instead of just saying financial freedom, which sounds good but is fuzzy,
Right.
you're asking yourself, okay, what does success actually look like to me? What specific results am I aiming for? Like your example, generate $100 in passive income from rentals in 5 years. That's concrete.
Exactly. That kind of clarity fuels action.
Okay, but quick question on that. Does Gupta warn about being too rigid? Like, what if the world changes and your super specific plan needs to flex?
That's a great point. And no, it's not about rigidity, it's about clarity. Look at Damon John in FUBU.
Shark Tank guy. Started FUB.
Right. Before it was huge, he didn't just vaguely want a clothing brand. He had this detailed vision. Represent urban culture, hit $100 million in sales. That vision was specific, but it served as a guiding star. It allowed him to make strategic pivots towards that goal as the market shifted.
So he knew the destination, even if the exact path had some turns. He mapped out the steps, the identity of the brand.
Precisely. That detailed vision drove every single decision. The more precise the goal, the clearer the path, and the easier it is to track progress and adjust without losing your way.
Okay, makes sense. And speaking of the path, stage 4 gets practical. Learn a valuable skill, because vision without action is
just a daydream, basically.
Yeah.
Gupta's clear. Wealth is built by having skills that genuinely add value in the marketplace. Skills that solve real problems people will pay for.
So what kind of skills are we talking about? Like practical things?
Yeah, practical, often what he calls high-income skills. Things like coding, digital marketing, sales is a huge one, copywriting, graphic design, video editing, skills that are in demand.
Yeah. Things people need right now.
Exactly. And the key isn't just dabbling. It's committing to becoming an expert, putting in the focused, persistent effort over time.
Chris Gardner's story, The Pursuit of Happiness, feels like the perfect example here.
Absolutely.
Homeless, with his kid, sleeping in bathrooms, but relentlessly studying finance manuals, practicing his pitches.
He knew, didn't he? He understood that mastering that specific high-income skill, finance, was his ticket out. He didn't wait to get the job to learn. He prepared himself relentlessly for the opportunity. Developed the skills before the door opened.
That consistent, focused learning, powerful stuff.
Really shows how it can unlock doors you didn't even realize were there.
Okay, moving along. Stage 5 feels critical. Save and manage your money. Because earning more isn't the whole picture, right? Gupta says the discipline of saving, growing, protecting, that's paramount.
This is such a crucial point and one so many people stumble on. He says, building wealth is not just about how much you earn, it's about how much you can keep, grow, and protect.
You see high earners living paycheck to paycheck sometimes.
All the time. Because they lack this discipline. And Gupta emphasizes, saving isn't just about willpower, gritting your teeth. It's about creating systems.
Systems? Like what?
Like setting up automatic transfers. The minute you get paid, a portion goes straight to savings or investments. Pay your future self first.
Get it out of sight, out of mind.
Exactly. It bypasses that temptation for impulse spending.
Yeah.
You make the smart choice, the default choice. It's not just earning, it's building that disciplined framework.
Even someone earning millions, like Shaquille O'Neal early in his NBA career, he had to learn this the hard way.
He's a classic example Gupta uses. Making huge money, spending lavishly, then realizing a big chunk of it had just vanished.
Poof.
Wow, that must have been a wake-up call.
A massive one. It forced him to stop, reevaluate, actually educate himself about personal finance, build a team around him. And it's not just saving, Gupta stresses, it's financial literacy, understanding things like compound interest.
Where your money starts making money for you? Yes. That exponential growth over time.
Yeah.
And diversifying your income streams. So you're not reliant on just one source, building resilience.
Which leads kind of naturally into stage 6, escape the time for money trap. This feels like a really big hurdle for a lot of folks, myself included sometimes. Why is just trading your time for a paycheck such a limitation?
It's a huge one because it puts a hard cap on your potential earnings. There are only 24 hours in a day,
Right.
right? And only one of you.
True. Can't clone yourself.
Exactly. So if your income is directly tied to the hours you work, like a salary or hourly wage, you hit a ceiling. Gupta argues that building real wealth demands creating systems where money can flow without your constant minute-by-minute involvement.
Leveraging your time, not just selling it hour by hour.
That's the core idea.
It's funny, think about Warren Buffett. Didn't he do something like that really young? Like with pinball machines?
Yeah, that's a great story Gupta mentions. Buffett was like 15, placing pinball machines in barbershops. He'd collect the quarters while he was off doing other things, like school.
So the machines were working for him, his first taste of money working totally separate from his time.
Precisely. It's about designing those systems. Gupta talks about things like, creating digital products, maybe setting up an online store, or investing in passive income assets. We'll get more into that. It's about automation, leverage, basically working smarter, not just harder, to generate income even when you're not actively on the clock.
Which, as you said, leads perfectly into stage 7, invest in assets. Okay, so now we're shifting from just saving money or even earning passively to actively putting money to work in something.
Exactly. The mindset shifts from just sort of holding on to cash, maybe in a savings account.
Which feels safe.
Feel safe, yeah. Tangible. But Gupta says real wealth creation happens when you convert that money into income-generating assets, things that appreciate over time or produce passive income streams.
So the real mental leap here is seeing money not just as something to hoard, but as what? Seed capital.
That's a great way to put it. Seed capital. You're actively deploying it, overcoming that habit of just holding cash and instead putting it into assets that work for you, building a portfolio of like mini employees' assets that contribute to your financial freedom, whether you're punching a clock or not.
That's the core of Robert Kiyosaki's whole rich dad, poor dad thing, isn't it?
Absolutely central. His strategy, buying that first property with basically no money down, then using the rental income to snowball into more properties, building a real estate empire.
Right.
He really lived that. Assets like real estate, maybe businesses you invest in, dividend stocks, they can provide consistent income passively. Rental income, dividends. It allows wealth to grow, independent of your active work, compounding over time.
Okay, so we're building assets. Then comes stage 8. Think long term. In our world of instant everything, this feels hard, maybe counterintuitive. I know for me, delaying gratification can be a real mental battle sometimes.
It's incredibly important, and you nailed the challenge, that psychological pull of the now. Gupta stresses that true, lasting wealth is almost always built slowly, patiently.
A marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly his phrasing. It requires the discipline to resist those tempting short-term opportunities or to ride out the inevitable setbacks without panicking. So many people jump ship on long-term plans for a quick win that never really amounts to much in the grand scheme.
It takes mental fortitude.
Definitely. Resisting that immediate gratification for the much larger long-term reward.
You look at Jeff Bezos and Amazon, that's like the ultimate case study in long-term thinking.
It really is. They resisted intense pressure for years to show immediate profits. Instead, they just kept reinvesting, building infrastructure, focusing on long-term growth, even when they weren't making money on paper.
And look at them now. That long-term vision paid off massively.
It highlights the power of compounding not just money, but effort, vision. Thinking long-term means seeing market downturns not as disasters, but potentially as opportunities. It's about consistency, patience, thinking in decades, not days.
Okay, decades. That requires a certain type of person. Which brings us to stage 9. Upgrade your identity. This sounds a bit more abstract, but Gupta says it's crucial, often overlooked. How do you practically upgrade your identity?
It might sound abstract, but it's deeply practical. Gupta's point is that wealth isn't just about getting money. It's about becoming the kind of person who attracts, manages, and grows wealth effectively.
If you want to be wealthy, you must first become the person who deserves wealth. That's a powerful quote he uses.
It is, and practically. It means things like consciously choosing who you surround yourself with, seeking out successful people who embody the mindset and habits you aspire to.
Learning by osmosis, almost.
In a way, yeah. It also means actively challenging your own limiting beliefs about money, about what's possible for you. Are your daily habits, your standards, actually aligned with your financial goals? Or are they working against them?
And embracing an abundance mindset, seeing challenges as opportunities.
Exactly. Shifting from a scarcity focus to seeing potential and growth.
Arnold Schwarzenegger's journey seems like a wild example of this continuous identity upgrade.
He's almost the poster child for it. From a poor kid in Austria to world champion bodybuilder, then somehow a massive Hollywood action star, despite struggling with English, no acting background initially, and then governor of California.
He just kept reinventing himself.
Constantly, he upgraded his identity to match each new, massive ambition. It wasn't just about setting goals, it was about becoming the person capable of achieving them, embodying that potential.
Embodying the mindset of someone who can create and sustain wealth. Okay. This leads us to the final stage, the peak, stage 10. Build your legacy. What does Gupta mean by this? Is it just about inheritance?
It's much broader than just passing down money, though that can be part of it. At this stage, true wealth shifts beyond personal accumulation. It becomes about your impact on others, on the world.
Creating a lasting positive influence that extends far beyond your lifetime.
That's the essence. It's about finding the purpose behind the prosperity you've built.
Yeah.
What is it all for, beyond yourself?
Andrew Carnegie is the classic example here, isn't he? Steal fortune, then.
Then gave away something like 90% of it. Funded thousands of libraries, universities, cultural institutions, things that are still serving millions of people today, over a century later.
Wow. His legacy isn't just the money he made, but the lives touched, the opportunities created.
Exactly. And legacy can take many forms. Maybe it's creating a foundation or scholarships. Maybe it's contributing significantly to causes you believe in. Or maybe it's simpler, like passing on financial wisdom and strong values to your kids and grandkids. It's about consciously deciding what kind of mark you want to leave.
So when we look back at all 10 of Gupta's stages, it's clear this journey from broke to wealthy isn't about finding shortcuts or loopholes.
Not at all. It's about steady, intentional progress, step by step.
And it's a transformation that's way bigger than just your bank account, isn't it? It's your whole mindset, your identity.
Absolutely. It starts with escaping that survival trap, taking ownership, getting crystal clear on your vision.
Then building the skills, managing the money smartly, escaping the time for money trap.
Investing in assets, thinking long-term, becoming the person who can handle wealth.
And finally, thinking about the legacy you want to create.
And maybe that ultimate point is that true wealth isn't just the final number. It's maybe about creating something meaningful, something that lasts and maybe even helps others long after you're gone.
That's a powerful thought to end on. So as you listening reflect on these 10 stages, maybe ask yourself, what does true wealth actually mean to you? Beyond just the dollars and cents, what kind of lasting impact, big or small, do you envision your own journey creating? For yourself, sure, but maybe for others too. And maybe consider which one of these stages feels most relevant to where you are right now, and what's maybe one immediate concrete step, even a small one, you could take towards really mastering it.